Greetings, humanity! Today is Monday, April 6, 2026. Let's grok the news. I'm Robert Gardner, using GROK, the most truthful AI in the world, each weekday to help me search out and to summarize the biggest headlines in the news today. You also get the unparalleled benefit of this observer's opinion. We briefly review a roundup of the most critical reports in the world, but first, and mostly in this special report, a deep dive into today's top story, once again, the conflict in Iran. Right after this, M.S. Gardner, my wife, is author of last year's Moon Meridian Prize winner from April Gloaming Publishing, Wolf's Bane, a dark, serious, modern take on an old fairy tale, a page-turning Southern Gothic story for adults. Wolf's Bane, available now at thecuriousauthor.com. All one word, thecuriousauthor.com, or wherever books are sold through Amazon. And now let's grok the most important news in the world today, starting with our lead story. Dateline Tehran. The U.S.-Israeli military campaign against Iran entered a critical new phase today as President Trump has issued an ultimatum: reopen the Strait of Hormuz or face devastating strikes on Iranian power plants and bridges within 48 hours. That threat came on approximately day 38 of the conflict, which has already seen intense airstrikes, Iranian missile responses, and a daring U.S. Special Operations rescue of a downed American airman behind enemy lines. Trump warned Iran it would face hell if no deal is reached, while Tehran again rejected direct talks and vowed retaliation. Iranian officials declared the strait will never return to its pre-war status without compensation for damages. U.S. forces executed what officials described as one of the most challenging complex missions in Special Ops history to rescue that missing American service member from a remote mountain area in southern Iran. The operation involved Air Force units, search and rescue helicopters, and coordination that reportedly included Israeli intelligence support. Trump emphasized, "We will never leave an American warfighter behind." Rescue teams in Iran faced harrowing and dangerous conditions while searching for the downed crew member. Video appeared to show U.S. aircraft and helicopters over the region during the effort. What a difference from the Obama and the Biden regimes, who, by the way, often left our personnel behind. Separately, Iran confirmed the death of a top intelligence chief in a U.S.-Israeli strike. Israeli sources identified the individual as intelligence chief Majid Kademi and took credit for the assassination. The strike is part of broader efforts targeting Iranian military and regime figures. Some observers have said this is simply mowing the grass, that there are plenty more to take their place. We need a real regime change there, I'm afraid. That doesn't seem to be the stated goal of this president, but this observer believes that nothing less will suffice. Top Republicans rallied around the president, questioning the value of feckless and weak NATO allies who have provided insufficient support and even hindrance amid the crisis. This observer agrees with that. The conflict has strained transatlantic ties and raised concerns about European and Asian energy security. America is secure. The Strait of Hormuz, a vital choke point for global oil shipments, is still partially blocked. Oil prices have surged, affecting economies worldwide, even ours. Iranian responses included missile fragments striking central Israel, with reports of casualties in Haifa and other areas. Hezbollah claimed attacks on Israeli forces in southern Lebanon, while the broader war has drawn in regional actors and prompted diplomatic pushes for ceasefires. Mediators presented plans for an immediate halt to hostilities, but Tehran signaled no direct negotiations with Washington. Trump has maintained a firm timeline, giving Iran that 48 hours to reach a deal or open the strait, and that time is nearly up. U.S. officials expressed confidence in the rescue operation's success, while the usual domestic voices, who always seem to be on the side of communism and foreign terrorists, criticized the reckless and costly war. The situation remains fluid, with markets watching closely for any further disruption to energy flows and the risk of wider destruction in the region. Now we grok the headlines from around the world. Dateline: Houston and lunar space. NASA's Artemis II mission is approaching its historic lunar flyby with the Orion spacecraft and 4 astronauts more than halfway to the moon. The crew has captured spectacular images of Earth, entered lunar gravitational influence, and completed key engine burns in preparation for today's close pass, the first crewed lunar journey since Apollo. This observer's been waiting 50 years. Minor technical issues, including toilet trouble, solved by spinning the spacecraft around to put some sun on that side. Well, they've been reported, but the mission remains on track. It seems NASA still hasn't fixed the toilet issues that plagued astronauts back in the 1970s. This observer wonders if SpaceX has these issues. Dateline: Washington and Los Angeles. U.S. immigration's enforcement is intensifying as ICE launches more low-profile work site visits aimed at deporting migrants. In separate actions, authorities arrested the niece and the grandniece of a notorious Iranian general living lavish lifestyles in Los Angeles, and booted the physician daughter of a brutal Iranian official from this country. Dateline: Nigeria. Nigerian army forces rescued 31 hostages taken during an Easter church attack. The successful operation freed the captives held by militants, bringing relief after the assault disrupted the holiday observances throughout the region. Dateline: Don't tell me there are not anti-Christian forces in the world. Dateline: Budapest, Hungary. Hungarian authorities allege a plot to blow up a Russian gas pipeline was foiled just ahead of national elections. The discovery raises fresh concerns over energy infrastructure security and possible sabotage attempts in Europe. This observer wonders why they don't just go ahead and call out Ukraine, which has done this before, to their allies, supposedly, that they are calling for to help them. Dateline: Bangladesh. Health authorities launched an emergency measles vaccination campaign after more than 100 children died from a suspected outbreak in a single month. The drive aims to contain the deadly surge in such cases. This observer wonders, with all the furor and the global panic during the COVID pandemic, why measles vaccinations were abandoned. Dateline: Washington, D.C. The U.S. Secret Service is investigating reports of gunfire near the White House. The probe follows alerts of possible shots fired in the vicinity of the presidential residence. Dateline the UK, Pepsi has withdrawn as a sponsor of a major UK festival following backlash over Kanye West's involvement. The corporate decision reflects ongoing public controversy surrounding the controversial artist. Dateline Spain. Spain's massive pork industry is seeking ways to protect itself from the threat of swine fever. Producers are implementing measures to safeguard one of the country's key agricultural sectors. No Spanish chorizo sausage for this observer for a while. I need to tell M.S. Gardner. Dateline China. A massive robo-taxi malfunction brought traffic to a halt in a major Chinese city. The incident underscores challenges facing autonomous vehicle technology and urban mobility systems. Folks, when it comes to artificial intelligence, on the road or in the news, never take your hands off the wheel. Right, GROK? Dateline Jakarta. Indonesia is facing jet fuel surcharges and flight ticket price increases as global oil costs soar due to the Mideast war. Airlines are passing on these higher expenses to the passengers, of course. But Indonesia still won't help keep the Strait of Hormuz open for its own oil, expecting America to keep doing it for them for free. Dateline Indonesia. A watchdog report finds that state-led projects are driving soaring forest loss across the island nation. The findings highlight environmental impacts of government-backed development. It seems like they're not taking care of first things first in Indonesia to this observer. Dateline the USA and international sports. Former U.S. soccer star Megan Rapinoe, with nothing else to do, slammed the Olympics over its ban on trans athletes, claiming organizers did not follow the science in their decision. This observer wonders what actual science the confused activist and washed-up soccer star claims that the Olympics should follow. Here on Earth, in this very real world, men are men and must not compete in women's sports. You would think that Megan Rapinoe would know that after she and her fellow star women's soccer players, Olympians, were defeated by a boys' soccer team. There is no room for men or boys in women's sports. Dateline, New York, New York. A Saturday Night Live audience cheered, as you might expect in New York, New York, during a Trump assassination joke in a recent sketch, sparking fresh controversy over the show's content and political tone. This observer thinks the assassination of any president is nothing to joke about. Old-school broadcast television is especially under conditions not to do such things. The FCC should deal with this promptly, fairly, and firmly. Dateline Global, especially Jerusalem and Nigeria. Christians worldwide marked Easter with He is Risen celebrations through observances, even in some conflict zones, which carried somber tones amid ongoing global tensions and restrictions. While the royal family in the UK did attend Easter services, King Charles is under fire for publicly praising Ramadan and for not giving an Easter address as head of the Church of England and defender of the faith. This observer is not surprised, as Charles has been, at best, a limp rag about the Christian faith ever since his days as Prince of Wales. Dateline Burkina Faso. The government of Burkina Faso has rejected a report claiming more than 1,800 civilians have been killed since the junta seized power. Officials disputed the human rights allegations. This observer does not believe these officials, as there have been numerous reports of mass murders in that country in just the last year. Dateline, Nepal and Bangladesh. Nepal's Generation Z achieved success in protests and elections, contrasting with struggles faced by youth movements in Bangladesh, according to a comparative analysis of South Asian political activism. And Cupertino, USA is the deadline, as Apple is marking its 50th anniversary with reflections on products that have transformed daily life, from revolutionary devices such as smartphones and tablets to those that have had more modest impact, like power cables that always fray. I thank you for joining. Please join me tomorrow to once again GROK the News. I'm Robert Gardner. Godspeed and God bless.